Well, again, I want to thank everybody for joining today's Valhallan Executive Call. These calls are designed to be here for you, to be able to answer your questions, to give you a better understanding of really who Valhallan is, what we're doing, the direction we're going. And today we have two of our executives here. We have our founder, David Graham, who's joined us today, and we also have Matt Phillips, who's our brand president. And the purpose of today's call is we're going to touch on a few different aspects of Valhallan. So we're going to go through, we're going to talk about our business model. We're going to talk about why we do these things. But more importantly, we want to go after your questions. So as we go through today, to kind of give you an idea how this goes, this first 15, 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes is really going to be hearing from myself, David Graham, and Matt Phillips, our brand president. And then what I would like you to do is make sure that you write down any questions you have, because after this 15 to 20 minutes, maybe 25, you're going to be able to ask whatever questions you want. So then how it's going to work is at the end, there's a little Q&A section that I'm going to turn on that's going to allow you to be able to ask whatever question you want. You're going to virtually raise your hand. I'm going to unmute you, and you're going to be able to fire away with whatever questions you have. So I want to just make sure, David Graham, you're with us?
I'm here.
Awesome. Matt, you're here as well?
I am.
Wonderful. Well, again, I want to thank everybody. We had about 80 folks register for today's call, so we're going to have folks from all over the UK, US, and Canada joining us today. And I'm going to navigate these waters for us on what questions we can answer, for what markets they apply to. So no question is off the table. Ask any question you'd like. As much as you like to ask those questions, this is your time to get some of those questions answered. So what we're going to talk about first, we're going to go into, is I'm going to have Matt Phillips explain a little bit about why he chose to come and be a part, not just be our brand president, but why he's also a franchisee. And if you've ever come to one of our virtual discovery days or listened to one of these executive calls in the past, you've probably heard his story a little bit. But again, this is also your time to write down your questions, make sure you have them ready, because we have a Q&A segment that we're going to do, and you can ask, gloves are off. You can ask any question you'd like to the three of us, and we'll be able to navigate and hopefully answer those questions for you. So Matt, kind of explain, since most folks may not know much about you or kind of where you're from, can you give us a little bit of history of yourself and why you chose to get into esports? And then the other step is why you chose to become our brand president as well. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Can start with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Marty, and thank everyone for being on the call and spending your time with us today. We're very passionate about what we do, and we believe that esports is a industry that is going to just continue to ride the wave forward and continue to gain momentum. You know, I got into esports about 2.5 years ago when I opened an arena with my business partner just north of Charlotte, North Carolina. And we started in a community center, and I originally started the business because of my son, who is now 16, has high-functioning autism, and I was trying to think of a way to be able to teach him business, mathematics and business, how to read a balance sheet and profit and loss statement and those kind of things. And I brought him into the business to give him, something that he truly had passion about. And so we started this business in the Huntersville Recreation Center, and we were lugging laptops back and forth and networking them and setting up tables and tablecloths and all of that. And then our kids would come in, and we would get them paired up on teams and then playing games. And, the mobile approach just wasn't for us. We didn't feel like we were able to deliver the experience that a true arena is able to deliver. And so we quickly pivoted to having our own space. So we just had our 2-year anniversary on our space. And we set up desks and a parents area and, really nice gaming computer stations. And, the kids just loved it when they came in. And so what originally was a side hustle for me to kind of show my son business became a passion project of mine. I didn't realize that there's about 60% of kids out there that we feel are being overlooked. Maybe they don't play traditional sports, or maybe they're not in band. Maybe they don't have outside activities. And after school, they go up to their room and just play video games. And we believe that with what we are doing, and why this became a passion project of mine, is because we're pulling those kids out of the room and teaching them to do things in moderation, while also building social skills and skills that a lot of us learned in traditional sports, like teamwork and sportsmanship, how to win, how to lose. And a number of these kids nowadays, or kids that are not interested in traditional sports, just are not getting these life skills. And so once we figured out that there's this massive group of kids out there that want to be a part of something, they want to feel like they belong, they want to have their tribe, that, they go to a place and it's their place. Once we realized that, players just started coming out of the woodwork, and our business just really took off. And when I joined Valhallan had done such a fantastic job in building curriculum and programming. And now that I'm adding that, or have added that since I joined Valhallan, it's giving kids much more structure in their esports experience. We're giving them a path to be able to progress, to show progress in what they are doing. And parents absolutely love it, and the kids love it. And it's really fun to be a part of a business where your customers love you and they love being there. And that has been very exciting to me, and what has continued to drive me in, continuing to build esports and esports arena. We're actually we have 9 territories that we purchased, and we're currently looking for real estate for our second location. So we're really excited about that, Marty.
Well, and I appreciate you sharing all that. And the reason that's valuable for everybody listening in is understanding where our leadership comes from, and understanding why our leadership does what they do is really important. And also how our leadership is putting their money where their mouth is and opening up multiple locations themselves, not sponsored by the corporate office, not being paid for by the corporate office, but by himself. And that's really important. I think it's really valuable to understand. And esports is many, many things. It's many things. And I wanted David Graham to join us today because David Graham was also the founder of Code Ninjas, right? The world's largest coding franchise. Obviously, I was there with him and that whole journey and growing that business to being enormous. So I want to talk about now what esports is not. And I think it's really important to draw the line in the sand. And that's one reason I wanted David to come on, outside of the business acumen that he has, and obviously the success that we've experienced. He wrote a very, very interesting blog post, and has gone back and forth with a lot of esports folks about what esports is and what it isn't. So, David, thanks for joining us, David. And can you just dive right into that? And this is invaluable, by the way, for every attendee to understand what is esports and what isn't it. Don't get it confused. And David does a really good job of explaining it, and I think it's going to be valuable for everybody listening in. So, David, why don't you go ahead and jump in?
Quite the setup there. Thank you, Marty. I wanted to appreciate everybody joining the call today, too. So I think a little bit of history about me is in order first, just a little bit. I don't need to go on and on, but I was a software engineer for quite a long time, 15, 20 years professionally. I have always been an entrepreneur, so everything I've done, though, has been in a STEM-related activity, whether that's Code Ninjas. I had my own consulting firm. I did coder camps where we sold to Steve Wozniak's groups later. And so when I talk about STEM, it's really coming from a place of experience. And my own personal life experience with STEM has been phenomenal. It gave me a community to wrap around. So I'm not dissing STEM in any way. And in fact, I'm separating it because I believe what we're doing in esports is equally important to what is now in the minds of parents so important in STEM. But they are two different things in my mind, and I think once I go through it a little bit, you'll understand why. It's like in STEM, we're talking about science, technology, and math, engineering and math. And so those four topics are very specific, and we all know that the world needs more engineers. We need more software developers. We know all that. But what's great about esports is that we're working on the soft skills and the day-to-day skills that you need to work within a team. And that's very specifically different than what you would learn in a STEM-related activity or curriculum. That means you're working on teamwork, you're working on communication, you're working on community involvement, you're working on sportsmanship and how to act and react when things don't go your way. And so I think, from my perspective, if I said that esports is a STEM activity, I think parents see through it. I think candidate franchisees and franchisees see through it. And I think it's just obviously too far of a stretch for us to make that kind of claim. Now, here's the claim I will make. There's evidence and study that says that gamers and people who are around gamers tend to go into STEM fields more frequently, and evidence shows that. We have studies and that kind of thing. So while it may be getting us into the mindset of a STEM person, it isn't necessarily STEM itself. It's kind of the flip side of the coin, right? If you are a software developer or you're an engineer and you can't work on a team of people, there's nothing that a solo act can do in today's STEM worlds that by themselves, basically nothing. I mean, you always have a project manager, you always have a team lead, you always have these multiple people that are in the project and that rely on you to work within that team. And so if you're the greatest programmer on earth and you're in a team of 10 people and you've got to produce a product, but you have no communication skills, you don't know how to work within the team, you don't know how to lead if you're a leader, and what that looks like, you're going to be not as valuable to the team. You're going to be probably kicked off the team. There's a lot of prima donnas in STEM, unfortunately. And so what I think we're doing here is we're supplementing STEM. We're supplementing STEM in a really fascinating and creative way by going straight into the mindset of a kid who wants to be gaming most of the time, and they're doing it already, but now we're using it as productive use of their time. And I usually say it's baking spinach into their birthday cake. Esports and gaming is what we got them into the room about. Now we're going to try to make them a better human being. And I think that's a very powerful statement, and I think it's a better, more genuine way to approach thinking about esports as it relates to STEM.
So now let's kind of dive into what that means in terms of a business model. And mind you, if you have any questions at all, we have obviously a lot of people on the call, and some of you joined a little bit later, maybe didn't hear me say this, but we have an entire Q&A segment that's going to be ready for you. So whatever questions you have, at the end of this 15, 20, 25 minutes, I'm going to open up the line so you can ask whatever questions you want, and we'll go as long as you have questions. So there's no time limit. We go until the questions are done. So if you have a question, be sure that you write it down. Be sure that you remember it, because when you finish this part of it, we're going to open up the Q&A. You'll be able to virtually raise your hand. I'll unmute you, and you'll be able to ask whatever question you would like. So now let's draw that into what this business model is. And so, Matt, Can you kind of walk through what happens when a parent comes in for the first time or calls for the first time and is like, I don't know, am I just dropping my kids off to play games? What am I doing? Can you kind of walk through what that looks like for a parent to understand the business model of this one aspect of what we do? Because obviously we do a lot more, but can you walk through that really quick and what that experience is like for a parent?
Yeah, absolutely, Marty. And I want to echo David's point where he said that video games are really the tool to bring the player in. And then our goal is to make them a better human being, to be able to provide them with mentorship, to be able to provide them friendship and other kids with like interests. And so we have that belief. Through our marketing efforts, we are really targeting the parents to be able to have an activity that is safe and inclusive for their player to play. As Marty just said, the kids are playing video games anyways. Let's give them a safe environment to do that in, but then also drop some life skills on them at the same time while we have their attention. And so that lead is going to come in from the parent, where the parent is interested in an activity for their child. We explain what we need to explain over the phone or through text message or through email, and we schedule them to come in for a free session. While they come in for that free session, we are talking to both the parent and we're talking to the player. So our coach is going to take the player and introduce them to the game, but also to our curriculum and also to our AIM trainers. And so they're going to typically in that first free session do a lot that they've never done before because they didn't know it existed. And so we are able to test them on hand-eye coordination, mouse and keyboard skills, those kind of things. And then we get them into the game and play the game because ultimately we want them to have fun, but we also want to teach them to be able to be better. And then as that player is going through that assessment, we are talking to the parent. We're talking about the 300 colleges and universities that are now offering scholarships in esports, how I've had 4 of my coaches get those scholarships and be able to have a large portion of their college paid for by being able to game at the same time. By being able to talk to the parents about all of the different job opportunities that are coming up in esports, graphic design, and being a coach, running tournaments, all of the operational back end in doing that. And we involve our players in those opportunities to be able to learn career ways to be in the esports career. We teach them how to be an influencer online, but how to do it in a positive way and how to make an impact in their community. And so by being able to talk to the player and being able to talk to the parents, then we get them together after the assessment, and they see that this is a place that's not just video games. It also has a purpose behind it. And the parent starts to bring their child in after they've signed up for a membership. And then typically 3 to 4 weeks later, they have that aha moment where, and you see it in the parent's face where, gosh, I really believe in this now, and I see the impact that it's making in my child. And he has a, 20-something coach that he looks up to and has a mentor and that he can talk to. And he has friends that enjoy things that he's interested in or she's interested in as well. And so they have that aha moment, and then they're hooked. They see it more as a social impact on their child than just some video gaming activity.
Well, so let's talk more about how this actual revenue comes in the front door, right? Because that's really we talk about the business model. We can go down the road of franchisee support, how we do our marketing. We host virtual discovery sessions on a weekly basis. So when you enter into this process with us, with learning about Valhallan and digging in deep, like David likes to say, looking under the hood, we do that in a variety of different ways, and we personalize this process. So as you hear us talk about the business model and how revenue comes in, also understand that we dive deep into those numbers and those different aspects depending on the state that you're in. So we have our new franchise disclosure document that'll be released here in about a week or two. We have some obviously updated financials that go in there, which is exciting. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But when we talk about the different revenue streams that come into your Valhallan, what Matt was just talking about was our league play, which is our subscription model. That's where they have their curriculum, they have a coach, they're on a team, they have their game, they have matches. What we learned from having obviously a very large coding franchise, youth tech franchise for kids, we learned why kids would stay. We learned why kids would leave. Matt, operating as an independent and then moving into a franchise, fully understands what works and what doesn't work. And knowing that kids are going to stay because they can compete, it was really important for us to let them compete on a weekly basis because that's why they're going to stay with us, right? They need to be competing. So how can they compete on a weekly basis with kids from all over the country? We solved that problem. How can kids come in and be on the same team and be able to have a structured program? You heard Matt talk about that earlier, having a structured program, coming at the same time with their team, doing their curriculum, having their match play. Everything is organized and structured. And parents need to see the value. So we have to balance this player and parent value. What are the parents seeing value in? We can see the long-term benefit happening. We can educate parents on the value of what we do. But is there any instant gratification for parents? And yes, we've figured that out. We found the little magic bullet in all of this that keeps parents wanting to pay and keeps parents engaged. And it's pretty exciting. It's all about building the value of that subscription program. And we have different little pieces that we put into play that continue to build that value. And there is nothing on the market that competes with that. Nothing. And it's pretty exciting. And as you go down into this process with us and you enter into our vetting process, we go into all of these details with you. And you're going to be able to learn of all these different aspects. If we did it all today, it's like drinking from a fire hose. That's why I want to get to you answering your questions, going after your questions as soon as we can. But so we have our main sources of revenue, which we obviously have, I just mentioned our subscription program and our camps, big sources of revenue. We have all your KPIs in order, ready to go. And then we have all these, what we call our flex points, or areas where there's more flexibility in what you can do to create a culture, connect with your community. Through our birthday parties, our parents' night out, our pop-up tournaments, our workshops, all these different fun activities that you can do that we want you to be creative with. We want you to go, just let your creativity go nuts and bring in and connect with your community and bringing kids in. So like, for example, birthday parties. People, you can look at birthday parties and say, yeah, kids are going to come in here, have fun. It's going to be a hot mess. But you have to change your view of what a birthday party is. A birthday party is really your opportunity to engage parents that have no idea on what you do and how the value of Valhallan. They have no clue. This is your opportunity to have that first interaction with them be professional and be something of value. And we teach you how to do all this. You're not on your own through any of this. All of our digital strategies, our creative team, our marketing, everything we do has a purpose and a reason based off of what we've learned and what the data has shown us in our experience of working with kids and parents all in 3 different countries. So before we go to the Q&A, I want to just ask one, David, is there anything that you wanted to bring up or anything you wanted to touch on before we venture off into the Q&A?
Well, I would say that there's ways to look at this, and I think it's very important to the parent's perspective to see that this is like applied esports. It's applied gaming. It's not just video gaming by themselves in their room with a headset on playing with strangers. we're in a closed loop. We don't allow anybody playing in our tournaments, our servers, or anything like that aren't coach-led, that aren't kids in the right age range, that haven't been approved to be in there. And so there's a toxicity in esports, unfortunately, that is pervasive. And we've removed all of that. Focus on the good parts of esports, the good parts of gaming. Teach good sportsmanship, camaraderie, and make sure that you respect your opponents and all that stuff, which is missing. And so I think we're adding value to esports in general, but I think also the parents need that perspective to know that this isn't just more gaming. This is applied gaming, making our kids better human beings in a safe space.
And I always draw the connection to, if your son or your daughter wanted to learn how to play basketball or volleyball, you don't throw them a ball and tell them to go to the park. You put them in a structured program. The cognitive skill development that happens in the world of esports will blow everybody's mind if you haven't looked into it. And we actually have that for parents to see. What is actually the cognitive development? What is happening? Why do they have to practice their memory? That's a real thing. Practicing memory.
Somebody said the other day, you don't learn how to swim on YouTube. And that kind of is a good point. You're going to get some of the facts of how to swim, but then you wouldn't ever send your kid down to the pool right after they just watched a YouTube video on how to do the backstroke or something. And just the same way, we shouldn't send our kids out into the world of esports or the world of competitive gaming without having some instruction, some properly led instruction. And I think that's an important concept too.
Matt, anything you wanted to touch on before we open it up for questions?
No, I don't think so. Being able to have a team behind you, I just wanted to mention, has been very, very critical to our business. When we were our own standalone arena, it cost us a lot with CRM and web hosting and email and all of those things that as a collective and as a group, we were able to share costs and drive costs down. We've got an awesome system that tracks all of our leads for us, that manages our leads for us, that has automations, front-facing portals for customers to be able to purchase camps and all kinds of other things that are fantastic from our experience in running one of the world's largest coding franchises. And so being able to have that team behind us not only gives us the ability to run our businesses more efficiently, but it also gives us a really good exit. I learned from selling businesses in the past, and these were I've been a franchisee, and I've also had my own businesses, that the more that you have supporting you, behind you through a franchise versus you trying to run things yourself, makes yourself not the most important part of the business. Like, I can pull Matt Phillips out of my esports business and plug in another person, and they can run it. And what's the value in that? Well, it allows you to be able to own and operate this business while continuing to be in your current job. And then it also gives you an opportunity that if you're going to build the business to a certain level, that you have a great opportunity to exit by being part of a franchise that's got a great back-end system, to bring in a new owner and be able to take yourself out of the picture and be able to sell your business one day for a good profit. And so we want to look at, when we start a business, what is going to be our best exit strategy out of the business. And Valhallan allows you to be able to have that opportunity to do that.
So here's how the Q&A works. I'm gonna open it up, and it's called question and answer mode, and you will be able to virtually raise your hand. If there's not a lot of questions, I have backup FAQs that we can go over. But I want you to know that there's really no questions off limits here. If we can't legally answer it, then we know how to pump the brakes and let you know what we can and cannot do. But I will just take a second and we'll be. So now, if you have a question, just virtually raise your hand and you'll go into a room and the Q&A mode, and then I'll be able to answer any of your questions that you may have. So if you have any questions, this will be your time. I have to unmute Matt again. So Matt's unmuted, and David, I'm going to find you and unmute you again. So now David and Matt are unmuted. So if you have any questions.
If you're on the phone call, you have to hit *6, I believe, to raise your hand.
Yeah, virtually raise your hand. You'll be on *6. So if you have any questions, we have a couple here. So Alex, I unmuted you. Go ahead, fire away.
Hey, thank you guys for taking the time to get on a call and discuss everything. It sounds awesome. I was curious if you guys could discuss, projected revenues or runways needed to open a business and kind of a path to profitability and what that looks like.
Yeah, Alex, great question. So one thing that we do, Alex, is depending on what state you're in, we have to be a little careful because there's franchise laws. The franchise disclosure document has something called an Item 19. And for anybody listening to understand what that means is when you have an Item 19, we try to put as much data in there as we can so that you can build out an Excel performa. We actually provide you, Alex, with an Excel performa, and we go through different exercises together that is connected to the Item 19. So Item 19 tells you financial performance versus having to call a franchisee and say, can I see your P&Ls? That usually never goes very well. So franchises put an Item 19 out there that gives you an idea of financial performance. So Alex, depending on what state you're in, more than likely it'll be available for you next week. So we want to stay connected with me and we can go down that road. I can get you a ton of follow-up information and obviously get you that Excel performa so you can build out your scenario and kind of, we do different exercises with that. So can definitely talk more about that next week. So.
Got it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to try to, there you go. All right. So let's see, Russ. Hey, Russ.
Hey, how are you guys?
Hey, doing well. How have you been?
Very well, thank you. Appreciate it, and I've been enjoying the call. As you know, I've visited you guys out in Texas and stuff, and the studios or arenas rather, they're beautiful and they're great, and a lot of great stuff is in there with the cameras, and I learned about with the special locks in the doors, creating, that really safe environment. And through this call you also touched on a lot of things about it's a sort of encapsulated bubble where outsiders, as I'm looking even on this chat thing, you get some weirdos things going on over there on this call alone, but it's a safe environment where the kids can learn and grow in without certain kind of predators hanging around. And I really loved a lot of the explanation that you've given today about, what, your actual program does. My biggest thing with the whole thing is, you only really have 15 to 20 seconds to get somebody's attention, through your advertising and stuff, to just get them in there. And there's so much information, why this, because it does require, cost to educate the consumer on how and what this is. And it's just wondering what kind of other advertising things have you already set up in order to make a bigger splash into once you start, blasting your community, advertising and stuff like that. What are the, the ads that are able to encapsulate the last basic, 20 minutes of description of what Valhallan is into, a quick 15-second flash where, a parent, when they see it, oh, I get it. You know what I mean? Because there's so much of a educational curve, it seems like, and that's my biggest point where I have a little fear from.
Yeah, well, I'm going to let Matt or David go after that one.
I'm happy to pick up on that a little bit, and Matt can follow up if he'd like with anything that I miss here. From my perspective in a marketing approach, you're right. You only have a few very prime seconds in each ad, in each marketing approach. And so what we do is we go to them and we market to them in the places that they're already using. Social media has been a great force for us to go out and use, and then we remarket to them through placement ads in their own web and other websites. But we also have the opportunity to have multi-point advertising. We do national ad campaigns. We do multiple different things to make sure you're engaged. The second thing you can do is be involved in your community. Going to, I'm going this weekend actually. We're going to like the spring fling in the parking lot at one of the elementary schools right next to our Valhallan location, and we're just being a part of the local community and letting people have the opportunity to find us and ask the questions that they want. I think that's invaluable. But the resonating message goes back to video games that make us better, and that's going to be throughout the marketing approaches. And tired of your kid basically just playing games all the time, give them a purpose. And I think that really resonates well with parents. And then the last thing I'd say is half of the kids out there over the age of 11 have stopped playing sports. And I can tell you from my perspective, my kids loved sports when they were little, but they just kind of grew out of it competitively, at least when they got older. And I was kind of down about that because I know all the benefits of playing sports and playing on a team and that camaraderie and everything like that. I played all the way through high school. And so this is an outlet that parents are looking for. I was looking for something that they could be at least competitive and have that teamwork and that team building and build friends and make new acquaintances and good kids, not just whoever they meet at school. And so I was really looking for a qualified way for even our own kids to do this. And so I think the message that we're sending out there is a good one, and it's one that parents are looking for. And so we're kind of hitting them right where they're already looking, frankly.
So could you give me an example of that where you would say they were already looking? Like, as you're saying, basically advertising on other websites, if I'm understanding that correctly?
Sure. Google AdWords, Facebook, Twitch. I don't know. I'm not the marketing team here, but I know that they have a multifaceted approach to get them online and get them engaged. I know we have some YouTube ads, and one of the things is, going out on your own is tough because, like Matt said, and you can speak to that, is you don't have a marketing plan. You don't have an annual schedule that's laid out in front of you. Our marketing team puts together the marketing plan so that, when Valentine's Day is coming up or when March Madness is coming up or whatever it is, we have kind of a hook to draw them in and show our comparisons and how we're better and how we're operating. So we have all of those things in order for you going into the next 6 to 12 months, and you can be prepared for that marketing approach.
But is that area specific, or is it that just a nationwide campaign? And then,
yeah, that's a great question. So they'll work with you to localize it, and where there needs to be like fill in the blank for your local community, it's certainly going to take a little effort on your part to let us know, here's how things run around here, and then they can modify that. It's fairly easy to do so. And you'll work with our partners as well, that we have our vendor partners that do all that every single day. They're the best in the business at that local marketing and PR.
And keep in mind, Russ, on top of this, and everybody listening in, is when you do birthday parties and workshops and camps, those are all ways to draw folks in that are going to be outside of the subscription model, right? So there's these, I want to do that because it's going to be fun. I want to do that because my kid loves to play X, right? Well, those are times where you bring families in, because when they come to a camp or they do a pop-up tournament or they come to a birthday party, those are ways that we have parent presentation, information available, and educational information available that you can give to your parent. And also, and the parent and the player. So they're getting information not just from these digital strategies or from their friends that come in, but for an example, if we have a parents' night out and somebody comes in with their buddy or their friend, they're going to go home with information. They're not just coming in, going to a birthday party or having a parents' night out, free play, and then leaving, right, with nothing. They're leaving with information. They're leaving with more than just.
It just rolls back whether you have a camp. You know, people have to know that you're having camps. So it's part of the
which are huge. And digital strategies are by far your best way of reaching the marketplace. And our digital strategy team, this is what they've been doing in the youth enrichment tech sector for 6 years. They're not new. This isn't a new path that they're trying to forge forward. They actually have done this for the last 6 years and guide our preferred vendors and our network team. They provide them with the education on what they need to be doing to reach these folks. So it is
when
definitely
folks. Are you saying the gamers or the parents?
You're not going to. Yeah, you're not marketing to kids that are 10 years old. You're marketing to parents. Mm-hmm. So the messaging has to ring true with parents, not a 10-year-old.
Right.
10-year-old is easy. That's an easy part, right? It's the parents that pay for it. They have to have that parent-player balance value. Has to. And if we take our eye off the ball of that, we're going to lose one of them. If we lose one of them, we're going to lose them both. So we have to be able to show the parent the value, which we incorporate different programs to build that value so they see long-term and short-term, and the player, they need to see short-term and long-term value. That message is impossible to give in a digital strategy, one-liner. You have to draw them in. We do different promotions, different programs, player-parent pop-up tournaments, birthday parties. We get involved in the community. The larger your franchise network, either of experience, of history, or current, it's like a swimming pool that just continues to fill up with information and best practices. And as a franchise, when you have all of your franchisees constantly scanning the marketplace to be better, we are one that has open communication network. We want our franchise. When people say, what makes the best franchisee for you guys? I'm like, handle adversity really well and be an engaged franchisee. Because if you're an engaged franchisee, that means you're sharing with us what's working, what's not working. And that means we can bring it to the entire franchise family. And we have a history of showing best practice books, town hall meetings, constantly trying to share with information. Support is a moving target.
A third bullet point there is to follow the plan, because we've laid out the plan that we know works, and we may change the plan from time to time as you guys give us better ways of doing things or games change or whatnot, but it is invaluable to have a franchisee that recognizes that they're just following the plan. Staying on the happy path is what we've always said.
Thanks, Russ, for the question.
Yeah, one of the things, if I can just...
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
can I
go ahead.
piggyback on that?
Please. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Yeah, there's real advantages with being first to market. And then there's also disadvantages with being first to market. We're not trying to sell, where there's 100 karate studios in my local area and being another karate studio. We are selling, a program that is new, but gaming is not new. And so education, yes, has to be more, but we have really dialed in the marketing to be able to pull those parents in to be able to educate them. And Marty and David touched on a lot of that, so I won't rehash it. But there are true advantages of being first to market, but you do have to educate a little bit more in the sales process.
So, we have another question here with a couple more questions we're going to touch on. So up in Calgary, I can't see your name, so I apologize, but you're up in Calgary, Canada.
Hey, yeah, my name's Robert, and I've been watching this for a while. I got a couple of gamer boys, 14 and 11. What kind of retail space needs? What quality of retail space? Can I run this in a mall, and make money, or do I need to be in a secondary retail area?
No, so here's a really easy way of doing it. Because real estate the landscape of real estate has continued to kind of expand and kind of get wider on what it means. The real easy rule of thumb is, if you can hang a sign on the building, it's in a safe place, let's dig into that space and see if it works. Let's look at the data. Let's look at the travel time. Let's look at the space, right? So if you can hang a sign on the building, it's in a safe area, there's good, halfway decent parking. Let's dig into that space and see if it works. We typically look for 1,200 to 1,400 square feet. That's our typical range we like to look for. We have a design team. We have feasibility studies that we do. So we like to dig into your space with you, Robert. But a good rule of thumb is, can I hang a sign on that building? Is it in a safe area? Does it have okay parking, pretty good parking? And then let's dig into it. Let's look at the layout. Let's look at the lighting. Let's look at the ceiling, the electrical. Let's take a deep look at the space. And we do that on purpose. A lot of times people will ask, what did you learn from building that past franchise? 760 territories, 3 countries, 400 of them open, which gets missed with people. You understand, it's easy to sell franchise territories. It's not easy to have 400 open in less than 5 years and continuing to grow through a pandemic. That was pretty amazing. So we learned a lot, and we love to be able to share what we've learned so that when you're in your market, everything we do is strategic. Well, why are you 1,200 to 1,400 square feet? Why is your curriculum 12 to 18 months? Everything has a reason. Even our price point, why our investment is where it's at, so we don't isolate customers. You know, why are we averaging about $140, $150 a month? Why aren't we $250 a month? Everything has a reason. And we experiment. We do different programs in different areas to beta test to be sure that we're running the right programs.
Right now in Pearland, we're at 200 and right at 200. So we're running that test right now.
Running that test, yeah. So we want to run those tests. Yeah.
You have 200 stores opening right now, or open right now and running?
No, he was saying that it right now in Pearland we're experimenting with the price range where Matt's right around that 135 to 150 a month. We're beta testing in Pearland a higher price point. So we work with you in your market to determine what does the math look like for you? What does the math mean? So that we don't want you running a nonprofit. Simple as that. And so we want to work with you in your market to be sure that you're not, leaving a lot of money on the table, but 2, that you're not overpricing yourself and pricing yourself out of your market where you're isolating your customers. And so we definitely work with you on building your Excel performa, walking through different exercises to be sure that, you know, this is the right choice before you're a franchisee, mind you. Okay? We don't want you coming into this and then things changing. We don't like the whole "why didn't you tell me" approach. We want to make sure we fully educate you up front before you sign anything.
After this call, what are the next steps?
You would email me.
If somebody wanted to move forward a little bit more.
Yeah, you would want to email me or call me. I always give up my phone number, 763-516-3578. Everybody thinks I'm nuts for giving up my cell phone because these calls get posted, you know,
That's
publicly.
his real cell phone too. I can't believe he does it because I wouldn't do that, just frankly. But he does it.
So who's giving out their cell phone number? What's that number again?
Marty. My name is Marty Flanagan. I'm the Vice President of Brand Growth. And my cell phone is 763-516-3578. And then we'll set up a time to chat. Text me. Don't call me right after this. I need to eat, but feel free to text me, and then we'll set up a time and we'll dig in together.
Thanks, Marty. I've got to run.
No problem.
Good job, and I like both sides of it. I like the social aspect and the education, and it's the business model and the numbers can crunch together.
Awesome.
I had a bigger space in mind, but I was looking at about 2,000 square feet, maybe 2,400.
It all comes down to the math. Always comes down to the math. That's what the math works. All right, awesome.
Good. Okay. Thanks very much, Marty.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. And if anybody is going to text me, please please text me your name too, not just, hey, can we talk? Because I don't know who you are. So make sure you do that. And this guy actually knows my phone number. Chris, what's up?
Hey, how we doing, guys?
How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good.
Great, Chris. Thank you.
Matt, can you go over your responsibilities real quick?
You broke up right in the middle. Marty, did he say, can I go over my responsibilities?
Your
Yes.
employee structure.
Okay.
My
Employee
responsibilities
structure.
at the arena?
No. What I'm talking about is your employee structure, roles,
Oh,
responsibilities.
okay. Yeah, so, as being a recurring revenue model, camps being a large part of our revenue, we hire a manager for our locations. My business partner and I, we're really looking at the growth of the business and, being able to open multiple locations. So we're trying to create more of a manager, coach, kind of employee stack at our arena. So we have a manager who's kind of the adult in the room and can help out the coach where needed for, going through the curriculum, going through the coach's guides with all of our players, going through getting them into league play and communicating with the other commissioners inside of the league and setting up the matches. And so it's a very manageable business. When you're talking about, 1,200 square feet, 28 computers, 2 employees, and then you have additional coaches for each game, but you only have 2 employees there at a time. Sometimes you'll have 3 when you're fully maxed out on your camps and you've got, 28 kids in there per camp. You'll add in another assistant coach to come in, but it's a very manageable staff. I spend a couple days at the arena just really working on the vision, having meetings with the coaches and the manager, doing the financial predictions and pro formas and budgets and those kind of things for, my manager, and then, really working with the marketing team and our vendors to drive marketing. And that's where I really want and need to focus on the business.
Can I go back to your camps, Matt?
Sure.
When you're the responsibility of your manager for camps, what's their daily task?
Yeah, we also do weekend camps, but I'll talk about summer camps. So the manager is going to be there in the morning, checking in the kids, keeping the coaches and the camp on schedule and on task, while the coach implements the game plan and, gets all of the kids going through the programming for the camp. And so they will check kids in. They'll get them T-shirts, camp T-shirts, make sure that, the kids, if they're staying full day, that they have their lunch with them. We also do other things where they're not just on a computer all day. We, go outside and we play games, together, do games inside with different board games and things like that as well to keep to do everything in moderation.
What about building the camp though? That's what I mean, is getting not the actual the camp itself, but getting to the point of selling it.
Oh, that's why you have us, because we really help you build out the camp. All of that has been created. Like all of our camps coming up into the summer, you can see them online. You can see what they're all about, what the cost is, and you can sign up for those camps. So we help you, by developing all of the curriculum for those camps, and then your coaches implement those. We even help you on a weekly basis with your coaches by providing coaching guides to them every Friday on what they're going to be covering the following week.
Okay. And all right. Thank you so much.
Awesome, Chris. Thank you. All right, Andrew, you've been waiting so patiently.
Hey, Marty.
Mr. Andrew, you've been practicing patience for the last 2 months, so yeah, thank you for doing it again today.
Yeah, no problem, man. Tracy's listening on here somewhere too, I think. But that patience finally paid off, and we just wanted to let you guys know that we got the call we were waiting for. So it looks like we're going to be getting ready to move to Pennsylvania with this.
Talk about a way to announce it. That was
wow.
Everybody. He was supposed to call me privately and let me know he was ready to go. This was 100% not planned. So, Andrew, thank you for jumping on.
I love shameless self-promotion. That's great, Andrew. Get on here and tell the world.
That's what he did.
Yeah,
Andrew, that's awesome.
Target of opportunity.
There you go.
Andrew, that was awesome. Thanks, buddy. I'll call you after the call.
Congratulations. Thanks for joining the family.
Thanks, guys. We look forward to hearing from you, and Marty, we'll talk to you a little bit later.
Yes, thank you, Andrew. 100% not planned. I'm dead serious. That was not planned. That's awesome. Thank you, Andrew. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to join in today. You know, we could go on and on with questions and keep going, but if you have more questions and you want to dive in deeper, we have virtual discovery sessions. If you want to have a personal visit and you want to go and see David in Pearland, Texas at the Valhallan there, if you want to go over to Charlotte, North Carolina, and you want to walk into the location there where Matt is at, we can set those things up as well. The system, this process is very personalized. Feel free. My email is in the chat. You have my phone number. You've probably received an email from me, and I'm more than happy to jump on a call. We can dive in the vetting process to make sure we're a good fit. The next step for you would be to reach out to me, and then let's book a time to call. Let's go through the performa. Let's walk through the FDD. Let's talk about the model in itself. Let's talk about your market, and let's dig in deeper. So feel free to reach out to me anytime, 763-516-3578. These calls will also be hosted on our YouTube channel. I want to thank everybody so much for taking your time to join us today. It was exciting. It was fun. I love doing these calls. We're going to keep doing them to make sure you can get your questions answered and we can just you can learn more about us. Thank you for your time, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.